I used to think marriage was the safest investment a man could make. You give your trust, your time, your loyalty, and you expect at least some return on that devotion. I wasn't rich, I wasn't perfect, but I was steady. I believed that steadiness meant security. What I didn't know was that steadiness also makes you blind. My wife, Saira, was beautiful, charming, and ambitious. She worked in client relations at a large marketing firm. Her strength was her people skills. She could read a room better than anyone, charm anyone into listening, and build connections that paid off. It was one of the things I admired about her most. While I worked in IT, buried in code and hardware, she thrived on conversation, charisma, and presentation. For years, I believed we were a good balance, but balance tips quietly, and when it does, you don't notice until you're already on the ground. It started small. Saira began staying out late. At first, it was once a week. Then it became twice, 3 times. Client dinners, she said. Networking events. She explained it casually, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. I wanted to believe her. I did believe her, until the lies started showing cracks, perfume I didn't recognize. A hotel receipt that slipped out of her purse. A faint lipstick smudge on her blouse collar that wasn't hers. Wrong shade, wrong brand. When I asked, she dismissed it all with a laugh. You're paranoid, Arav. Don't make up stories in your head. But the stories weren't in my head. They were real. And the truth was uglier than I ever imagined. One Thursday night, she told me she had a critical client dinner. Something in me finally snapped. I told her I had to work late too, but instead of going to the office, I followed her. My hands shook on the steering wheel the entire drive. I hated myself for turning into the kind of man who tails his wife. But my gut already knew what my heart refused to admit. She parked outside a boutique hotel. Not the type of place you'd host a professional dinner. My chest tightened. I stayed far enough to watch, phone in hand, camera ready. And then I saw it, the first man. He arrived, shook her hand, and they went inside together. I waited. An hour later, the man left. Alone. 10 minutes later, another man arrived.
Same routine.
Then another. And another. By the time the 5th man walked in and came out an hour later, I was numb. This wasn't a single affair. This wasn't an accident or a moment of weakness. My wife was entertaining 5 clients, one after another, in the same hotel, like some grotesque schedule she had arranged. I felt the kind of rage that doesn't burn hot. It freezes. My palms were icy, my chest tight. My entire body wanted to storm inside, drag her out, scream, demand answers. But something in me said no. If I burst in now, she'd lie. She'd twist. She'd cry her way out, and maybe stupidly I'd forgive her. No, this needed planning. This needed precision. I took photos. I noted times, faces, license plates. I gathered proof until I could no longer deny it. Then I drove home and sat in the dark for hours, replaying it over and over. By dawn, I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I acted normal. I kissed her cheek when she left for work, even though the smell of hotel soap still lingered on her skin. I went to my own job, but every break I got, I was planning. Revenge wasn't going to be messy. It was going to be clean, silent, and absolute. Step 1, secure myself. I moved half our savings into an account she couldn't access. I changed passwords on all joint accounts. I wasn't going to be the fool who got betrayed and robbed. Step 2, preserve evidence. I printed every photo, every timestamp, every screenshot of suspicious texts I had gathered over the months. I kept copies on a flash drive and emailed one to myself under a disguised subject line. If she tried to deny it, I'd have proof that no one could refute. Step 3, the stage. I wasn't going to scream at her in the kitchen or cry into her lap. No, I wanted her exposed. I wanted her lies torn open in front of everyone she respected. Our anniversary was 2 weeks away. Saira had suggested hosting a dinner with family and friends. Let's celebrate love, she said with a smile that made bile rise in my throat. That was the night I would end it all. The days leading up to the dinner were torture. She carried on like nothing had happened, texting late at night, humming while she cooked, leaving the house dressed up for work. Every time I looked at her, all I saw were the 5 men walking into that hotel. My heart twisted between hate and heartbreak, but I kept my mask on. I laughed at her jokes. I held her hand in public. She had no idea that I knew. She had no idea what was coming. Finally, the night arrived. Our living room was full of people. Her parents, my parents, siblings, a few close friends. Everyone toasted to us, to our happy marriage, to the perfect couple. Saira beamed, soaking in the attention. She clinked her glass to mine, whispering, 9 years, Arav. Can you believe it? I forced a smile. Oh, I believe it. But I think everyone deserves to see what those 9 years have really been like. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? I picked up the remote and turned on the TV. I had already connected my laptop earlier. The screen lit up with the first photo, Saira entering the hotel with client number 1. Gasps filled the room. The next slide appeared, Saira exiting with client number 2. Then another, and another, until all 5 were displayed in a neat, damning timeline. The room went silent, except for the sound of Saira's breath hitching. Her father stood up, face red. What is this? Her mother whispered, No, this can't be. Saira jumped up, eyes wide with tears. Arav, please don't, this isn't what it looks like. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Not what it looks like. 5 men, Saira, in one night. Do you want me to play the hotel CCTV footage too? She collapsed to her knees, sobbing. It was work. They pressured me. I didn't know how to say no. Work? I snapped. You call sleeping with clients work? You call betraying your husband and turning our marriage into a joke work? The silence that followed was unbearable. Her family stared at her in disgust. My family shook their heads. The friends avoided eye contact. I let the humiliation sink in. Then I said the final words I had rehearsed in my head for 2 weeks. Saira, our marriage is over. You destroyed it. You destroyed me. And now you've destroyed yourself. I took my bag, which I had packed earlier, and walked out. She called me nonstop for days. Texted paragraphs begging for forgiveness. Promised therapy, swore it was just a mistake, cried about how she loved me. I didn't respond. Not once. I ghosted her completely. Blocked her number, blocked her emails, blocked her on social media. I didn't shout, I didn't argue, I didn't fight. I vanished from her life as if I'd never existed. Revenge wasn't in the screaming. Revenge was in the silence. Revenge was letting her drown in the shame of what she'd done without giving her the chance to explain it away. The last I heard, she lost her job. Word about her client relations spread quietly through the company. Her family cut her off for months, embarrassed by the scandal. She tried reaching out to mutual friends, but most of them sided with me. And me? I rebuilt, slowly, quietly, peacefully. I found an apartment of my own. I focused on work. I started jogging in the mornings, something I'd neglected for years. I reconnected with old friends. And for the first time in months, I slept through the night. Sometimes people ask if I regret not giving her a second chance. The answer is no. A single mistake is forgivable. 5 clients in a row is a lifestyle. I don't hate Saira anymore. I don't love her either. I feel nothing. And that, I think, is the sweetest revenge of all.